You've tried every product on the shelf, and somehow your hair still looks like it's working against you instead of for you. Imagine 5 haircuts that make 60 look rich, refined, and 10 years lighter overnight. I research worst style and beauty mistakes and youth-boosting fixes for mature women, so you get simple, proven transformations that work instantly. Today we're perfecting 5 rejuvenating haircuts to look 10 years younger, rich and elegant at 60 plus. And by part 3, you'll want to pause and look in the mirror. I mean it. We're covering the cut that lifts a tired jawline, the one that adds density without a single extension, and the one stylists charge double for and never explain why. And the very first cut on this list? I see women avoiding it out of fear when it's actually the most flattering option they have. Let's go. You spent another morning trying to coax volume out of hair that just lies there, flat by 9 and lifeless by noon. That is not your hair failing you. That is the wrong haircut sitting on top of beautiful bone structure that deserves so much better than it's been given. The mistake is simple, and almost nobody over 60 hears it from their stylist directly, because most stylists are trained to keep things safe rather than transformative. A blunt, one-length cut weighs your whole face down, every single day, without you ever realizing the haircut itself is the culprit. Here's the truth that surprised me the first time I researched it properly. The heavier and blunter your ends are, the more your face reads as tired, no matter how good your skincare routine is, or how well you slept the night before. Your hair has weight, and weight pulls everything downward, including the corners of your eyes and the line of your jaw. The fix is the soft layered bob, and it works through 5 specific adjustments that most salons never explain in this much detail. First, the layers must start at cheekbone level, never lower, so movement begins exactly where your face actually needs lift the most. Second, the ends are cut with a razor, not blunt shears, so the silhouette feels airy and light instead of heavy and helmet-like. Third, the crown gets internal layering that most stylists skip entirely because it takes real extra time and skill to execute well. Fourth, the sides are angled slightly forward to soften a square or heavier jaw without anyone noticing the technique. Fifth, the back is graduated, never chopped straight across, so the whole shape moves naturally when you do. This one is everything. If you are still asking your stylist for a one-length bob out of habit, swap that exact request for face framing layers starting precisely at the cheekbone, and ask specifically for razor cut ends instead of blunt shears. The difference is immediate and visible the moment you look in the mirror. Honestly, I wish someone had told me years ago that a bob is not one single haircut. It's actually 12 different haircuts depending entirely on where the layers begin and how they're finished. Maintenance is wonderfully simple once the cut is right. A monthly trim keeps the layers crisp and intentional, and a lightweight mousse applied to damp hair before blow-drying upward at the roots keeps the lift holding strong all day long. This is the exact cut a friend of mine got 2 years ago, and she still tells me strangers stop her in the grocery store just to ask who does her hair. That is not an exaggeration for effect. That is simply what correct layering does to a face that has earned every single line on it. Your bone structure was always there, quietly waiting. This cut simply stops hiding it from the world. There is one more small detail that makes this cut work specifically for women over 60, and almost no younger stylist ever thinks to mention it during a consultation. It involves exactly where your part sits relative to your natural growth pattern, and getting that one detail wrong can undo everything else this cut is meant to achieve. We'll circle back to that detail in a moment, because part 2 is about to show you a completely different shape doing the exact same lifting job, just built for a different face entirely. 2. The long layered shag. Have you ever wondered why some women over 60 wear long hair beautifully while others are told to chop it all off the moment they turn 50? It has nothing to do with age and everything to do with shape, structure, and how the hair actually moves when she walks into a room. The mistake almost every woman makes is assuming length itself is the problem, when the real issue is wearing long hair with zero internal structure underneath it. Flat, heavy, undefined length drags a mature face downward like a curtain with no folds, no shape, and nowhere for light to catch. Here is what surprised me most in my research on this exact topic. Long hair can actually look more youthful than a short cut, but only when it is layered aggressively enough to genuinely move with you. The fix is the long layered shag, and 5 specific choices make this style work where others fail. First, layers are cut short around the crown and graduate longer toward the ends, creating built-in volume without a single second of teasing. Second, face framing pieces are cut shorter at the jaw to highlight cheekbones rather than burying them under heavy length. Third, the ends are textured with a razor or thinning shears so nothing ever reads as a single heavy curtain of hair. Fourth, a slight curtain fringe is added to instantly open up the eye area the moment you walk past a mirror. Fifth, the back maintains its length while the crown layers create lift that genuinely holds through an entire day. Yes, that's simple. If you are still wearing long hair in one flat, undefined length, swap it immediately for graduated shag layers starting right at the crown, and trade a center part for a deep side part that opens your entire face. There is one technique your colorist can use that makes gray or silver strands look luminous instead of flat within this exact shape. And it takes about 4 extra minutes during your regular appointment. Maintenance means a texturizing spray applied to dry hair and finger styling rather than brushing, since brushing collapses the very volume you just paid good money for. This is the cut that made my own mother, at 68 years old, ask her stylist for the very first time in a decade to leave her hair long instead of cutting it shorter every single year out of habit. Your natural elegance was never really about length or shortness at all. It was always about movement. This shape proves that instantly, on camera, in person, in any lighting you find yourself standing in. The shag photographs beautifully precisely because it has dimension built directly into the cut itself. Rather than relying on styling tricks you have to repeat every single morning before anyone sees you. Part 3 takes a completely different approach, built specifically for women whose hair has thinned at the crown and who have been told, wrongly and unfairly, that absolutely nothing can be done about it. 3. The textured pixie crop. This one thing is doing more damage than you realize. And it has nothing to do with your hair's natural texture at all. It is the assumption that short hair automatically means safe hair, plain hair, forgettable hair that disappears into the background. The mistake is choosing a short cut with absolutely no texture, the kind that lies flat against the scalp and reads as severe instead of elegant and intentional. A flat pixie ages a face fast because it removes every bit of softness around the features without ever replacing it with anything in return. Here is the surprising part most women never expect to hear. The shortest haircut on this entire list is also the one capable of taking the most years off a face, but only with exactly the right texture built into it. The fix is the textured pixie crop, built from 5 deliberate choices a skilled stylist makes with real intention. First, the crown is left slightly longer and point cut to create soft, piecey texture rather than one smooth, flat cap sitting on the head. Second, the sides are tapered, never buzzed, so the transition stays gentle and refined around the ear. Third, a few longer pieces are deliberately left to sweep gently across the forehead, softening the entire hairline completely. Fourth, the nape is cut close enough to elongate the neck, which instantly improves your posture in every photograph taken afterward. Fifth, the overall shape is asymmetrical rather than perfectly even, because perfect symmetry is exactly what makes short hair start to look severe. You needed to hear this. If you are currently wearing a smooth, even pixie with no movement at all, swap it for point cut texture concentrated at the crown, and trade a center-parted fringe for one swept gently to the side instead. The maintenance is wonderfully simple, which is part of why I genuinely love recommending this particular cut to clients. A small amount of texturizing paste worked through dry hair with just your fingertips, focused mainly at the crown, is the entire morning routine required. Honestly, this is the haircut I recommend most often to women who tell me they are terrified of going short, because it is the least severe shortcut that actually exists anywhere. A viewer once told me this exact cut made her feel like she finally looked like herself again after years spent hiding behind length she didn't even truly want. Your eyes become the entire focus of your face in this cut, and that is precisely, deliberately the point of every single choice made. There is a reason this style is requested more often than any other in upscale salons by women specifically in their 60s and 70s. And it has everything to do with how the jawline catches light differently once the weight surrounding it finally disappears for good. Part 4 reveals the cut most stylists are genuinely afraid to suggest first, because it requires real confidence to wear well, and even more precision and skill to cut correctly the first time. 4. The curtain bang lob. There is one technique that changes how your entire face reads on camera and in every mirror you pass throughout the day. And it takes your stylist exactly the length of a single haircut appointment to build into your style permanently. Have you noticed how some women in their 60s seem to have naturally lifted, open faces while others look perpetually tired no matter how much sleep they actually got the night before? The mistake is hair sitting heavy and flat directly across the forehead, fully covering the temples and casting a constant shadow over the eyes. That shadow alone is doing more visible aging than any single wrinkle or fine line ever could on its own, day after day, year after year. The fix is the curtain bang lob, a lob-length cut paired with soft, face-framing curtain bangs, and 5 specific choices make this combination work so well together. First, the lob hits precisely at the collarbone, the single most universally flattering length for a mature neckline of any shape. Second, the curtain bangs part naturally down the center and sweep outward rather than hanging straight downward across the brow. Third, the bangs are cut longest right at the center part and graduate progressively shorter toward each temple. Fourth, the overall cut includes face-framing layers that blend seamlessly into the bangs themselves rather than creating one harsh, obvious line. Fifth, a slight outward bend is added at the ends using a round brush, opening up the entire silhouette of the face. This is the one. If you are currently wearing length straight past your shoulders paired with a heavy, full fringe, swap it for a collarbone-length lob with center-parted curtain bangs, and trade flat-ironed ends for a soft outward bend instead. There is a reason colorists specifically request this exact shape before adding any highlights, and it comes down entirely to how the curtain frames where the light naturally hits your cheekbones first, season after season. Maintenance involves a round brush and roughly 10 minutes with a blow-dryer, focused entirely on lifting the bangs away from the forehead rather than pressing them flat against the skin out of old habit. This is the cut that made a friend of mine stop mid-conversation in a restaurant, reach up and touch her own hair, and ask exactly who did this for me right now, in that very moment. Your beautiful eyes were always the true focal point of your entire face. This cut simply removes everything that was quietly blocking them from view for years. The curtain effect works because it draws the eye upward and outward simultaneously, which is precisely the opposite of what gravity has been doing to your face for years without your permission, without your consent, without you ever fighting back. Part 5 brings everything together with the one cut that combines elements from every single style you've seen so far in this video, and it might genuinely be the most requested haircut for women turning 60 this entire year. 5. The layered textured lob with root lift. Take a moment and think about the very last time you felt completely confident in a photograph taken from behind, with no warning, no preparation, no chance to fix anything first. If nothing comes to mind, you are far from alone. And the reason has almost nothing to do with your hair's natural thickness or density. The mistake is hair that has plenty of volume up front from styling tricks, but goes completely flat and lifeless at the crown and the back, the two areas a curling iron almost never properly reaches. This is the part of the head most women never actually check in a mirror, and it is exactly where aging mistakes hide the longest without anyone noticing. Here is what changes absolutely everything about how this works. Real, all-day root lift comes directly from the haircut itself, never from any product you spray on afterward hoping it helps. The fix is the layered textured lob with built-in root lift, and 5 specific cutting choices created from the very first snip. First, the crown receives short, stacked layers cut while the hair is completely dry, so the natural lift shows immediately rather than only appearing after careful styling. Second, the mid-lengths are point cut to remove bulk without removing any actual length, keeping the entire silhouette light and airy. Third, the perimeter is left slightly longer at the front to balance beautifully against the shorter crown layers above it. Fourth, the nape is layered specifically to prevent the dreaded flat triangle shape that quietly ages the back of the head. Fifth, subtle face framing pieces are added right at the cheekbone to tie the whole cut together cohesively from every single angle. This is everything you needed in one single cut, on one single haircut day. If your stylist has only ever addressed the front of your hair during past appointments, swap that habit for a clear request specifically for crown and nape layering. And trade your old volumizing mousse for a root lift spray applied only at the roots, never through the lengths of your hair. There is one finishing technique that takes this cut from good to genuinely transformative, and it involves blow-drying your roots in the opposite direction of where they naturally tend to fall. This is the cut that combines the lift of the bob, the movement of the shag, the lightness of the pixie's texture, and the framing of the curtain bang lob into one complete, elegant shape built specifically for how mature hair actually behaves day to day. In real weather, in real humidity. A woman I researched this style for sent me a message describing the exact moment her granddaughter told her she looked rich and effortlessly put together without even trying. Which is precisely the goal behind every single cut on this entire list. Your elegance has been there the whole time, quietly waiting for a haircut built to finally reveal it instead of bury it under habit, under routine, under years of being told to play it safe. Today you found all 5 at once, and that is no small thing. You just learned 5 specific haircuts that most women spend years and small fortunes trying to find through trial and error alone. Boom, your bone structure was always this stunning, and now you have 5 completely different ways to prove it to the world. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 cuts matches your face the most: the soft layered bob, the long shag, the textured pixie, the curtain bang lob, or the root lifted lob with built-in volume. I genuinely want to know which one you're booking first. Next time, we're tackling the one coloring mistake that makes elegant gray hair look dull and tired instead of luminous and radiant. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the very next one.